calling to say I...
Heaven just knows what it wants. Will I go back to the place where I belong? Everyone could break my heart, but I try my best to not fall apart. And I find it hard to let go. The memories keep me together. Gotta fight till the end, no pressure, no pressure. And I find it hard to say no to the ones who want something better, to the ones who never say never. You'll be my pleasure. I got nothing to be scared of, because where people live, there is always love. I know the answers in my heart, so I'll try my best to not fall apart. And I find it hard to let go. The memories keep me together. Gotta fight till the end, no pressure, no pressure. And I find it hard to say no to the ones who want something better, to the once, so never say never. Will you be my pleasure?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to FRL F1 100% here at a very, very rainy Brazil, Sao Paulo track for round 7. Just going over the halfway mark of this season now. Quite a long season of 12 rounds here, already completing 6 of them before. Obviously, a very carnaged last round with 8 safety cars, I believe we had at the Netherlands, also known as Zandvoort. And before that, we had server issues. So hopefully this one does go to plan here. Obviously, this is an expected wet circuit compared to what we had last time, where we had some very, very changeable weather. But we are about to go green here for one-shot qualifying. We do see it is a bigger grid than what we usually do have. I believe it's 20 cars here tonight. Obviously, we are allowed 21 cars when I'm solo commentating, but it's only allowed to 20 cars if it's me and Jamie commentating, but it's only me here tonight. My name is Alex, your commentator for tonight. I've been part of FRL for quite some time now, and I will be doing the rest of the season. So we do go on board now with already Dimar's fellow Welshie going into turn 1, already going quite a few places down. Seems he makes a bit of a mistake going into turn 1 that puts him all the way down the order into P17. Going on to now provisional P1 at Gandis in the Mercedes. Already we've got, unfortunately, 1 retirement, 2 retirements there due to people going off track and invalidating their lap time, meaning they will start from the back, as we've already got disqualification for driving the wrong way. Not sure if that's on purpose or not. Usually you do get stuff like this on purpose. Do you see someone who has overtaken so far as well, what was Rouge Smithies? We did just see the McLaren going up into P1 provisionally at the moment, going into the end of Sector 2, going into Sector 3. Does seem to be going faster here. He seems a lot more confident than Gandis going into parts of Sector 2 and 3, but we do see Gandis overtook him there as a bit of a mistake we saw from Rouge going into the penultimate corner, I believe it was. So do you see actually Gandis making a mistake there? He was on for a pole position there, but now he's got to retire from the session there, as we do see Mafanjo and Saticio both retiring from the session as well. 5 cars already going far, as we already see Brand going into the wall there. I'm assuming he did not want to qualify there, as we do see Specky Cabbage going across the line with a 116.8, which is exactly nearly, what's that, 4 or 5 tenths to Cryplax, his teammate in P2. So it's a grid row lockout there for Alpine. We don't see that in real life, do we? But we do see that will be the end of qualifying here now. Do you see Cryplax going into P2, and we also saw his teammate in P1 here. This could be a longer race than usual. I think it's 71 laps, so we're not used to 70 laps in the F1 scene. It's usually 60, 50 laps, but obviously it's a shorter track. The fact that we're seeing maybe 1 minute 16 lap times, it'll probably be a bit slower during the race, but still going to be a bit of a longer race, you could imagine. My guess is going to be about 85 minutes of racing as we go on. We do see now get a bit of debrief from the top 3 at 116.8 by Specky Cabbage, followed then by 117.2 by Cryplax, 2 Alpines on the front row, followed then by Rouge Smithy, the McLaren with 117.4. Well, we were going to see Gandis on the front row, but unfortunately had a bit of an issue going down to P9 with a 121.3, so quite a hefty mistake there, causing him quite a few seconds lost as we go onto this race, as we wait for every driver to pick their setups, pick their tyres, pick their strategy. And we will go green here. Still a rainy track, so we're going to start on the wet track. So are we going to see people going on the inters and the wets is the question. It's where we do see if people go on the inters, if they could make quite a mistake if it is fully wet here. It does seem quite wet. If it's wet enough for the wet tyres, or if it's going to be inters or even on the boundary of the wets. You'd have to imagine if you even go on the wets when it's into suitable, that can cost you quite a bit of time as well, losing a lot of grip going into a few corners. But we'll have to see what these drivers pick. So I reckon it might be quite a variation of the tyres, but obviously the mechanics will be able to tell them what is probably the suitable tyre throughout the race. If people will, I'm not even sure what tyres people will go on here. I would check, but I'm scared I'm going to miss the start of the race again. So we do see now we're going green here. We've got 3 grid lights, 4 grid lights, 5 red lights. So we are now green here, pedal to the middles. We do see that both Alpines already getting quite a good start for the front row. We do see a few of them over the car a tiny bit. We do see Kryplak still in P2, but losing a lot of time to his teammate. They're going further down the grid there. So we do see the Alpha Tauri getting some move done, trying to go for the inside line, but loses it due to having the outside line to the Red Bulls. We do see there's a bit of carnage going further and further down the grid there. Going down to P7, we do see Jackie Cabano in the McLaren also being able to survive the carnage we saw, as we do see it's still a 1 and 2 safety, not a safety car, yellow flag, but we could potentially see a safety car. No, we're not. We're going to see a safety car on the first lap, as we do see now another. Oh my days, that's going to be an incident. That might actually be. I'm not sure where he's gone, but he's going very slow on track there. I believe it's Kevin in the Avatar. Yes, it is. I'm not sure why he's going so slow there, as we can actually check now. Everyone seems to be on the wet tyres there, so it's definitely a very, very wet track here indeed. If it is going to dry up throughout the race, that's something we'll have to find out later on. That's when the pits will come into strategy, because obviously it's a wet race, but you have to use 2 compounded tyres for the mandatory pit stop, as we do see a yellow flag going into sector 2, but we do see Specky Cabbage, so one of the Alpines, already starting to make quite a good gap for himself, almost a second to his teammate. We won't see DRS until it starts drying up again, this circuit, but with F1 I've learned that it's quite easy to see a track dry up in about the matter of 2 laps, even from if it's like a flooded track to probably close to a green track or so. If you're from ACC, you'll probably see that takes quite a few laps to do it, but in F1 it seems quite easy to do. It seems like we're always on sauna temperatures, as we can see the possible pit strategies here. Tyres on the inters are wet, so it's probably going to be a wet race for the entire race here, but we do see another sector 1 and 2 yellow flag. It does seem there Wildcat going down to P18, so I'm assuming that's the issue there. So we go further down there, we do see Rouge Smithy getting closer to Kryplak, trying to get some retaliation to try get back into P2, as he had it very, very fractionally, as we do see there is actually a virtual safety car. This is what I prefer as a virtual safety car compared to the actual safety car, because it gets the grid together, as we already see Meanwhile Moody go on to the inters. If that's the call, I'm not too sure, because it seems even these top grow of drivers are actually struggling on these wet tyres, so the inters might not be the call. But it does seem he isn't struggling too bad, and if he gets the right call here, he's going to make so much time on all of these drivers and potentially can make quite a few positions up as well. This virtual safety car shouldn't last too long. I believe the virtual safety car is only a lap and so, but I think it's actually over here. Reduce the drive-through penalty, speeding under VSC virtual safety car, meaning he is going to have quite a hefty penalty going through his way of a drive-through penalty, but it does seem he is still in P20 and he is stopped on grid there. Kevin getting a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's something, as we do see 2 people not getting drive-through penalties. This is going to be quite an interesting race, I believe. Some of these cars here, but we are out of VSC now, but we do see there's going to be a side-by-side between the McLaren and the Kryplaks of the Alpine. But we do see Rouge Smithy of the McLaren was able to get by Kryplaks, but we do see Josh Rose in the Red Bull as well, trying to make moves on Kryplak. Kryplak seeming to struggle a tiny bit there in the wet compared to his teammate Specky Cabbage. He's already been able to make about a 3-second advantage to him. But obviously he is battling, which is going to lead to a bit of time loss there. But we do see a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting, the first one we've seen today. So I am not too chuffed about that, I guess you could say. But that is F1 in a nutshell. You will see many 3-second time penalties given, especially in a very difficult track condition such as what we're seeing here at Sao Paulo today. This is kind of what we saw in real life last year. So those clouds that we saw last year, I think it was during qualifying, were quite, as we do see a sector 3 yellow flag there, but we do see they're going to go side by side going to turn 1. It seems McLaren brakes later, but Josh Rose is going to try go for a move going into turn 2 and 3, but we do see he's still got over the inside line. There's going to be some wheel touching between them both. Josh Rose gets the overspeed going into turn 3 there. He gets the move done. Cryplex, is there going to be any sort of retaliation from him? He does seem to have the slipstream. Obviously no DRS because of that wet weather, but he is just going to have to tuck behind for now. Obviously if the track dries up, that seems where Cryplex is at the strong point. I'm assuming his side might be correlated between the dry weather and not so much the wet weather, but he is just going to tuck himself there behind. But we go further down the grid now. What we do see in P11 is Aston Martin looking to have a bit of pressure from Gandis, who was going to be on pole for it, as we do see Miles has retired from the session. That is going to be the first safety car of the weekend here, as we do see safety car has been deployed. So this is going to lead us to at least lap 7 under safety car conditions, as we do see drive-through penalty for a lot of drive-through penalties here, it seems. Meanwhile Moody again is second one in 4 laps, which is quite impressive to say the least. Feel like we might see some people going in for different tires soon at the moment, but we do see, excuse me, most tires are still very, very fresh and 4 or 3 laps. So is that actually beneficial going on fresher tires than that, because they're already quite fresh? But we do see a few people going into the pit. It seems the Hassan, I believe that's Jay Hartnell, going into the pits for some fresh. Is he going to go for Inters? I assume Inters might not be the call, because the only person on Inters is Meanwhile Moody in P19, and he has had 2 drive-through penalties. 1980s Wildcat getting one. Meanwhile Moody received too many drive-through penalties, disqualified from the session. So that's our second retirement from the session today, which is probably more of the rare sight you see as a disqualification from the session. But we do see there's only been 1 car that's actually crashed yet, which is actually surprising, especially for a carnage restart like this. 20 cars here. The Aston Martin or Sausage Joe going up quite a few positions, I believe, as we will check who the biggest winner is so far. Biggest winner does seem to be G. Hartnell, going up 10 positions since the start of the race. They're closely followed there by Mafandro, the other Aston Martin, of 8 positions. The biggest loser, unfortunately, has to be Kevin in the AlphaTauri, losing 14 positions since the start of this race. And there was, what we did witness earlier, was him going slow on track. Kind of a bit dangerous, you could say. But it seems everyone got through just fine with that. But obviously the spray isn't as bad as what we see in other games. We can't actually go on to driver perspective view, unfortunately. But what we could try see if I can go into camera type now. That I've only got 2 camera types, unfortunately. Do you see now? Is it Sausage Joe going for the over? I was about to say that's probably not the greatest idea under safety car conditions. This should potentially be our last lap under safety car here. This is going to make the grid a lot closer than it was originally. This is where we do see the pace advantage comes into P1. And this is where we have to see if Specky Cabbage can redeem himself from the last time. Unfortunately, he was leading the race for quite a while, and he was very experienced under safety car conditions and safety car launches of being able to catch the other drivers off guard and make a bit of a gap for himself going into a few of the corners. Especially, yeah, Zandvoort is the one I'm referring to, but I think he did it at Bahrain as well. No, not Bahrain, sorry, Qatar as well. By a second penalty there for Kevin for unfortunately speeding in the pits there. So I'm assuming he has gone for different tyres there, unless he's having to do some sort of penalty. But I don't think he got any sort of drive-through penalty since the last time I saw. do go further down now just to see. This is our current grid. Specky Cabbage in P1 in the Alpine, followed then by Reece Smithy in the McLaren, followed then by Josh Rhodes. We seem to have quite a bit of pace there in that Red Bull today, followed by Cryplax, the teammate of Specky Cabbage in the other Alpine, followed then by the first Haas up front in Brand's car, followed then by Jackie Cabana, unfortunately in P6, losing to his teammate, but P6 is still quite a good position to be fair to it. In the other McLaren, followed there by Mafandro in the Aston Martin, the highest ranking Aston Martin at the moment, followed then by Don Faverington in the other Red Bull, followed by Finn, who's had a few eventful times in a few of the races, followed then by Sausage Joe, and then the two Mercedes of Gandis and William Talbot, followed then by Chocolate in the Ferrari, followed then by Mills SP 2002 in the other AlphaTauri, followed then by Alfie Hudson in P16, followed then by 1980s Wildcard. Last but not least, we do see Kevin in the AlphaTauri trying to catch up after his pit he has received, but it does seem we are going to come out of safety car conditions potentially this lap. So this is where we will start seeing Cabbage probably starting to prepare to try catch these drivers off guard, because he can go as late as he wants up until the start finish straight, and he can go as early as he wants as long as the safety car's out of the way. So he's under control of the pack after the safety car has been released, so it's a very big advantage here for him as well. But we will see he's also got the advantage of the less likely of being taken out into the race unless we see some absurd dive bombs going in, which I hope we don't. That means we'd have to go into another safety car in a row. But we do see safety car in this lap as I predicted, as we now do see him just falling back, trying to drop his delta a bit to try to create a gap to the safety car so he has as much time as he can to start this race. As we go on to P2 here, this is probably the best camera to see who gets a better start between Rouge Smithy, the rest of the pack, and then Specky Cabbage, who's got to try and catch him off guard. We do see the safety car is in now, so he can go from any time from here. It seems he has gone, and he has made a tiny bit of a gap for himself, but it seems Rouge Smithy was absolutely on the ball there, trying to get in. And he's actually going to have the inside line going into turn 1 here. Who's going to get the better advantage? So it seems Specky Cabbage has just let him go there, but it does seem there's going to be a bit of a mistake there from Rouge Smithy and the McLaren, which has caused him to go very close to Specky Cabbage. But actually, we do see Specky Cabbage under a lot of pressure here. It does seem Josh Rhodes might be able to get past as well, as we can't actually see where he is, but we do see he's on the left side there, and it just seems Specky Cabbage just let him by there. I'm assuming he's trying to do something in terms of ERS management. Is the only thing I can imagine. If we can look at P1 and P2, P1 has used a lot of his ERS compared to the other two. We've got quite similar, so it's obviously determining on pace here, but I'm assuming it can't be tyres either, so he's done something wrong there that has caused him to lose 2 positions in the span of 2 corners there. Going further down there, we do see him P8 as well. There is a bit of a gap created between P8 and P7, which has put a lot more pressure on Jay Hartnell to try and keep up with the pack, so he has a bit of slipstream compared to what we do see the other Aston Martin of Sausage Joe trying to get the slipstream going into the final turning, and obviously turn 1 there is that humongous straight. It's not that big to be fair, but obviously you've got these flat out corners as well, which is going to help you and assist you quite a bit. So we can see this now happening. It's going into Sausage Joe's car. We are going to see a three-way actually, as we do see 3 cars involved with this three-way battle. As we do see though, he goes for the inside line there, Jay Hartnell. Is it going to work? No, it does seem Sausage Joe has the inside line going into turn 2. He gets the move done quite cleanly there, but we do also need to witness what's going to happen behind. It does seem Jay Hartnell again under pressure. It seems there's a pace disadvantage in the Haas's favour, as we do see now Finn getting past in the Alfa Romeo going up into P9, but we do see there was almost some sort of retaliation there from Jay Hartnell, which didn't go his way, and he did lose a lot of time after braking and misjudging it. And we do go further up once again. What we do see now is actually Rouge Smithy trying to make a bit of a gap for himself going in to lap 9, nearly lap 10, going into sector 3. He has got a 9.5 tenth advantage to the McLaren of Rouge Smithy, which obviously there is no sort of DRS in this condition, so it's not really going to matter in terms of that advantage for Josh Rose, but it's definitely going to help when it comes to slipstreaming here. It does seem he lost a lot of his time there, Rouge Smithy, which actually is going to put him under a lot of pressure. That small mistake that we just saw him make might actually cost him the position here, as we do see Josh Rose going to try go for the inside line, and he's going to squeeze him a tiny bit, trying to leave him as little room as he can, but we do see Josh Rose going to have a tiny bit of a side draft as well, as we do see going into turn one. They are going to break just as late as each other. Josh Rose getting the inside line though, but he has to leave the room for the McLaren. It's not going to work though. Rouge Smithy gone down into P2 and Josh Rose into P1 now. That is actually very unexpected there, as we did see him having that near second advantage going into the final corner, and that just little mistake cost him P1 there. And obviously he doesn't want to battle too hard because there's still 61 laps left of racing, so he can try and get back to him later. And obviously you don't want to be draining your ERS at this stage of the race. There is probably another safety car to happen, as we do see Rouge Smithy spinning there. That's going to lose him so many positions there. He can't actually go until all of these cars have went, as he's going to try go now. No, he can't. He has to try again later, as he's going to lose so many positions. In fact, 10 cars, as we do see another safety car is going to be employed. What I was going to say before the safety car was disqualified from this. He was actually disqualified for parking in a dangerous location, which I think is a bit stupid if you ask me. But I do also remember that in this game, compared to ACC, is obviously the ghosting, so I guess he could have went at any time. So yes, but I don't really agree with the disqualification of Rouge there. This has just put so little pressure now on Josh Rose, as he has got such the pace advantage to Bran at the moment. Unless Bran is just trying to harvest his ERS, it's something I can't say, as we do see now we're on the green flag conditions once again. That's how short that safety car period actually was. Don Fotherington though looking to try get closer to the cars in front of the Williams and the Alpha Tauri. It does seem he gained a lot of time going into turn one, but it does seem he might lose a bit of it going into turn two, as we do see there's a bit of a mistake from both Mills SP and Don Fotherington, so they're actually going to be further away than ever. But we do see the person who's at most risk here is Mills SP, who's actually kind of in a bad spot here, you could say, because if he battles too hard there with Alfie Hudson, he's going to lose even more time to Don Fotherington. This is what we saw with I forgot who it was. I think it was Jackie Cabana. He lost 2 positions in one corner. Was it? No, it was Specky Cabbage who lost 2 positions in one corner from one little mistake at the start of the safety car period. We are back racing now, and we do see Brandt is actually making a bit of a... well, he's not even creating a gap, sorry, he is maintaining the gap to Josh Rose. In fact, he is digging at it. He's actually gaining about half a tenth a lap at the moment, unless he messes up, as we did see a bit of a mess up going into turn 3. So you see there's a caution into turn... well, I think it's turn 1 there. We do hear, if you didn't hear that, but there was a bit of locking from the brakes there coming from Brand going into turn 5. As we go further down there, we see in P9 now. We do see there's actually going to be a position change. Finn just going very wide there, going into turn 4, I believe that is. And he actually loses the position there to Alfie Hudson from that, just braking a tiny bit late and just having a bit of an understeer moment. And that unfortunately lost him that position. But in terms of weather updates, it seems to be raining still. There's not going to be any sort of upgrade in track condition or track quality anytime soon, it seems. As we do see 1980s Wildcat has retired from the session. That is probably going to lead in a safety car if it was a crash, which I believe it might have been. So it says caution sector 1. We will try and go on board with Josh Rose now to see what actually happened there. The Red Bull of Josh Rose currently in P1. In fact, it's not going to be a safety car just yet, as we will continue going through this race now. As you can see, the pace difference is quite severe here. As you can see on the interval gaps here, how well packed they are. between each other. They are very, very far distance between each other. Well, one another, you could say. Which is actually going to cause a lot of, well, I guess you could say boring scenes in this race, but this is where safety cars does make a massive advantage, especially in the commentary scene of this, because it makes more action between drivers, because there's more mistakes to happen between them. We do see now actually the only big position gain that's actually about to happen here from Assetto to cryplex. Cryplex under a lot of pressure here from behind. The moment he could actually lose his position going into the start finish straight. At the moment it does seem he is gaining absolutely everywhere on him and every line, but is that going to be for any longer? He needs to try and maintain a tiny bit of a gap going into it. It doesn't seem he's going to be able to do it going into the final corner. It's a flat out corner here, and he's already got all of that distance gained to Cryoplex now, but he does gain a tiny bit of time there, Cryoplex. In fact, are we going to see any sort of slipstream advantage? Yes, we are. We can already see the distance made by him. He's going to go side by side into turn one. There's going to be a late break there from Joe. He does get it done though in the Aston Martin. Is he going to leave any room? You know he isn't. He doesn't need to, as we do see almost Cryoplex just let that happen. As we do see Mills SP unfortunately getting a 3-second time penalty. Second one we've actually seen here today. So he's going into P11 though. We do see a bit of a side-by-side action going into turn one. We do see it's the Alpha Tauri of Mills SP who lost their position there to Jay Hartnell. Hartnell unfortunately having a little bit of a moment, I think it was, earlier into this race. So we did see what happened. It was, I think he just went a bit wide going into here on turn 4, and he just lost that position to Mills SP, but it seems he aces the corner now. Throwing board with the other, not the Aston Martin, the Haas, currently getting closer to Josh Rhodes. Josh Rhodes might actually have a tiny bit of a challenge here on his hands, with the Haas actually gaining on him in quite a few corners now. It seems he actually lost quite a bit of time there, as we can see how big that gap is compared to what it actually is on the interval page. You will have to start seeing, I'm not sure how long wet tyres last for, but we do see there's a 3-second time penalty there for Gandhi. Suits definitely not the best races, bless him. Currently in P15 after his quite good qualifying session. Well, was going to be a good qualifying session. Unfortunately, he span on the penultimate corner, and it ruined his qualifying there, going for a 121 compared to what the best time was, which I believe was a 116. So just losing about 4 to 5 seconds going into the final corner for him. And we do see a fastest lap for Finn there. He's actually looking quite decent in pace there. He is on newer tyres, to be fair to him, 2-lap-old wets. As you can see him down in P30 at the moment. He did pit. I don't think he pitted under safety car conditions, or unless he did, he lost quite a few places due to not many people actually making any strategy calls during the safety car, which was probably a good idea, mainly because their tyres are still quite fresh, you could say. Now we are obviously probably halfway through their lifespan, I believe, but that safety car was about 8 or so laps ago, so it's definitely something you shouldn't do unless everyone else is going in. Then you want to try and keep the advantage as well close to you as possible. We do see a safety car there. This is exactly what we want, to be fair. So we have now lost 4 drivers since the start of this race, 16 laps in. We will see this safety car spun until probably the 20th lap, as we will get closer and closer to the halfway mark of this race. At the moment, we're not even at the quarter stage of this race, and we're on the second actual safety car, but we are on probably the third or fourth, if you include those visual safety cars that are actually really handy, to be fair. Don Fotherington left the session, so I'm assuming he did have a disconnect, or he has had some sort of issue. No, it seems he's just had a disconnect. He'll try join back when he can. So we do see now William Talbot going on the inters a lap ago. So he's not going to be a very happy chappy after the safety car happening a lap after, when his tyres were actually taken out. As we do see now the top two leaders are currently going into the pits. It seems most people are going into the pits here. In fact, it seems everyone will be going into the pits. We do see that, unfortunately, Jackie Cabana getting a drive-through penalty for speeding under safety car conditions there. As we do see Mafandro as well, currently actually leading, you could say, the safety car. As we do see there's actually going to be a position change during the safety car there. As we're going to see Alfie Hudson going up to P8. That was well, if that's legal, that is absolutely amazing. And then Mafandro going into P9, as we do see there. Kevin going into the pits as well. So it seems absolutely everyone is actually going into the pits now. Just see, is Finn going to go into the pits? I assume he's not going to go into the pits, because he's already, yeah, he's not going to go into the pits. He's going to try overcut as many people as he can. Undercut even, sorry. As he actually goes up into P10 there. I'm not sure how true that actually is. Yeah, that does seem true actually. Or has he gone up even more? I can't tell actually. No, he's gone up into P10, so P9 as we do see Sausage Joe getting a disqualification after being parked in a dangerous location. That's our second disqualification of the day. Do you see the grid starting to catch up with one another now? We're down to 15 cars since the start of this race. It is usual to see at least one or two retirements, but at the moment 5 isn't the greatest number, as we do see Sausage Joe has rejoined the session. So I'm assuming he might have been undisqualified, but it does seem his name is still semi-transparent in the bottom of the timing boards. So I'm not sure if he has. Safety car not coming in until the next, well, probably 2 laps or so. So that is something to bear in mind, that the cars will catch up quite quickly with one another, as we do see there is a bit of gap still for Jay Hartnell in P9 currently, as P10's following not very close behind him. You see there's actually quite a big gap there. Chocolate in P13 only entering sector 2. So they need to catch up as quickly as they possibly can. He only has 2 laps, I believe. So actually, no, the safety car, is he coming? No, he's going to be staying out. Potentially for 1 more lap or less. Well, not or less, or more. do see this might be the last lap we have under safety car condition, but I'm not too confident. I believe we might have to do another lap after this one, but we'll have to see. He is dropping back a tiny bit. We haven't had any sort of message just yet that it's going in this lap by race control, so I assume we're probably doing another lap as we are still waiting for the two Mercedes to also catch up. They don't have too long to catch up, but whatever track isn't great, as we are going to do another lap under safety car conditions, as we don't see it coming into the pits this lap, as we do the last safety car lap, as I did predict it was going to be. The 20th lap into safety car conditions, as we do see now P14 and 15 still quite far back, about 13 seconds or so to the end of the pack, so they need to try and catch up quite quick. I believe they might be able to catch up going into sector 2, but they only have this lap left to try and catch up, so they do not have that long left to catch, as they are both on the inters as well, but it seems the majority of the pack now are on those inters as well. But they are also going to be using the inters at a significant rate compared to the rest of the grid, because they are having to try and push to catch up the grid. It does seem now they actually go up into P10, because it seems a few people are actually pitting again. So I'm assuming, yeah, it does seem it's drying up a tiny bit. As well, you can see just by the track, this is a tiny bit of a dry line forming. It's not much of a dry line. It's still going to be very wet, so it's not going to be suitable for those inters just yet, but very soon, even though it's going to be raining, I think there's a bit of a bug in F1 where you can actually use the inters quite, well, not the inters, the slicks in a wet surface to a certain degree, as we have seen it. I believe it was last race, William Talbot going on to the inters, not the inters, the slicks quite early on compared to the rest of the drivers, and he did seem to be quite quick still on those slick tyres. Safety car coming in this lap, so this is Josh Rose's first safety car led, and he will be starting the safety car. He will try catch Brandt and the rest of the field off guard to try and maintain a bit of a gap so that slipstream isn't so strong. So we do see though Brandt all over the back of Josh Rose's car to try and, well, gain as much time as he can on the safety car condition, as we have seen Josh Rose go there. He actually gains quite a bit of time there on Brandt, but going further down into the grid, it actually seems Becky Cabbage got caught off guard, and it seems quite a bit of the grid as well did. So you see P11 starting to make a bit of battle going into turn 1. It seems they're going to go 3 wide into it, as you can't really see much going onto it. Is there going to be a crash in between them? No, there's not. Does seem they actually maintain the side by side, but we do see the Mercedes going a tiny bit loose there going into the corner. He's actually going to go off into the runoff area. He's going to rejoin just behind the Aston Martin and Mafandrew there. William Talbot not going to be too happy with what just happened there, but that's probably what always happens. Well, 8 of the 10 times under side-by-side or freeway conditions. So we do see now the Haas making a very, very bad decision, trying to defend the move there on the Alfa Romeo, who seems to be quite a bit quicker with him, and he seems to be struggling on what I believe he is still, well, they're both actually still on the wet tyres and quite similar aged tyres as well. Going further down there, we do see there's actually going to be side by sides once again. It seems though Gandis gets back on Don Farrington. In fact, he wants to try to get past Kryplex as well, who has seemed to lose quite a bit of position since we last saw it. We do see Gandis now doing what he did during qualifying, just getting a tiny bit looser going into the, well, it's not even the penultimate corner. It's the third to last corner there of turn 8, I believe it is. Unfortunately, loses pretty much all of his positions. He did just gain back over the few spanning laps, going on to lap 22 now. You see there's quite a big gap between P1 and P15 at the moment, as we do see though Jackie Cabana going into the pits once again for inters. It seems probably the wet tyres aren't going to be doing that well now, but we do see Brandt is on those wet tyres as well. Is he using his ERS? He is not using his ERS that much, so I'm assuming Jackie Cabana is going to try going in the inters to try keep up with the pace of the pack. But if Brandt's been able to gap the field, I'm assuming the wet tyres is still quite a strong option. They might not be as strong as the inters in this conditions, but they are probably still quite strong. And I don't think there's much of a difference between the pace of the wets and inters at this time, but it does seem still to be raining quite heavy going into sector 3. So it's quite difficult to find out where the moves are actually happening, but we do see there's actually going to be a side by side. It seems William Talbot sending it up through what seems to be turn, I think it's turn 7 or 8, onto Don Fotherington. Don Fotherington losing a position there to William Talbot, who's gone up into the points now for real F1. But we do see now he actually does the same thing as his teammate almost did. And he actually does it again. He's going to go into the wall, and he's losing his front wing there. He's also in a very vulnerable location here that he needs to try get back as quickly as he can. Luckily, he's under safety car conditions now, but he is also very close to the pits as well. But that is going to be the third safety car of this race. Lap 22, probably going to take us to about lap 27. As we do see now him going into the pits to try and repair his front wing. Do you see 5-second penalty for William Talbot there, unfortunately speeding under the pit lane as we did just witness. So we do see a few people might be going in for new... Well, what's happened there? There's a double stack into place. That's not going to be very good there for William Talbot, as he's going to lose even more time there because of his teammate doing a double stack. Safety car will start reeling in the pack together once again, but we don't even see Brown anywhere near the safety car just yet, I believe. Yeah, the safety car hasn't even caught up just yet, so we might actually see it going into potentially even lap 28. Getting closer to the halfway stage now of this race. I believe it's probably about 3 or so laps until we are roughly at the halfway stage of this race. It has been quite an interesting race. I'll give you guys a bit of a debrief on what happened for the people who probably aren't watching this live, but probably are watching it later, just skipping through. At the moment, we've had about 3 real safety cars, including 3 virtual safety cars as well. For various different issues, we have had 4 retirements from the session, starting with 1 shot qualifying. We did see, unfortunately, Gandis, who was on to take pole position, fortunately messing it up going into the final few corners of sector 3, leading him to go into P15, I believe it was, going on to the race there. We did see Spicky Cabbage did start quite well, but under the first safety car we did see him lose a few positions from I think it was a little bit of a mistake going into turn 1 there. And then we did see him starting to make a bit of a redemption out up into P2. Is he trying to get closer there to Josh Rose? Bran, who's also quite a rival here for Josh Rose, currently in P8 after pitting for new tyres. As you can see, he's on the 0 lap age tyres, so it's quite close between them 3, but I believe Josh Rose and Bran are probably closer in terms of pace compared to Cabbage, but we could see that change. Kevin having quite a mixed race so far in the AlphaTauri, starting quite strong. I believe he started P4, then having a bit of an issue going on to the back straight, and it did cause him to practically be parked in the start of, well, I think it was lap 2 or lap 1, which was quite dangerous, which did cause the first safety car of the race, I believe. And he is starting to make a bit of redemption as well, up to P4, so his original position, as we can see. Looking onto it, we can see he was probably the biggest loser at one point, but now he's in the neutral position. Currently, Mills SP is now the biggest winner with 12 positions gained during this race. So we do see followed by Jay Hartnell in the Haas with 9 positions gained, and then followed very closely by Alfie Hudson in the Williams, currently in P3 with 8 positions gained to his name. The biggest loser at the moment does seem to unfortunately be Jackie Cabana, but I believe that's because he did just pit. So there is going to be an exception there for him. A lot of this will fluctuate over time, but that's just natural, obviously. Currently fastest lap time is a 122.3, which is quite slow compared to what we've seen in one-shot qualifying, but that is also bound to happen. Set by the current driver on board with Bram, who is obviously the competitor with Josh Rose for the lead. So it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to be able to get past these people going into the things. We do see safety cars going to come in this lap, which is now we're going to have to see Josh Rose taking his third safety car restart. You do see he's gone there, and he's actually caught Specky Cabbage quite off guard there, and he's created quite a big gap for himself already. 4 attempts going into it, probably about 500 meters or so. So we do see now there is going to be another issue going further down, as we do see everyone seems to be making it still, as we are on board with Kevin now. He's trying to make a position gain there on Alfie Hudson going into turn 3. He's going to go side by side with him. He is going to get the inside line going into turn 4, but we also do see their Cryoplex just dormant behind them, trying to see if there's any mistakes made by both of those drivers. We also see the Ferrari there of what I believe is Chocolate trying to go up for a position as well. He is going to try get the position. He has the inside line going into turn 5 as well, but we do see now a retaliation here from Brand, who has the inside line going into turn 6 and 7, but it doesn't seem to work there, as we do see there's going to be a later break there by Chocolate. It seems Brand is back out a tiny bit to try spare his car and his front wing, and even Chocolate's car as well, as we do go further up once again as well. We do see Cryplex getting under pressure, as we do see now Kevin trying to get past, having the inside line. They're going into the well, not even the penultimate corner, it's the, well, I believe it might be the penultimate corner. It does seem he doesn't get the move done just yet on Alfie Hudson, as he just stays behind, but we do see he got the move done on Cryplex earlier this lap. He stays behind for now. He actually has quite a good run up on Alfie Hudson there, putting a lot of pressure on him in the Williams, grounding out quite a bit, as you can see the sparks going into the end part of turn 2, turn 3 there. So do you see the yellow flag sector 3? Not sure what that is. It's going to be side by side here. It does seem he's going to try to lose as little room as he can as he goes side by side going into turn 4. He doesn't get the move done, but we do see Alfie Hudson going wider, as we do see Kevin going up into the inside line into turn 5. He gets the move done without flaw there. Is there going to be any sort of retaliation from Alfie Hudson in the Williams? No, there isn't. It seems actually Kevin's trying to prevent any sort of retaliation by braking later either way. So we actually see Alfie Hudson losing the position there to Cryplex. Cryplex going up into P4 there for the Alpine, which is well, what we didn't actually expect to see anytime soon. Going further down as well, though, we do see Bram trying to get past Don Fotherington before his teammate catches up. Still about an 8-10 gap between him and his teammate, so if he can get past now, it would be better than later. But we also do see there is a bit of rowdiness going on in P6, I believe. It does seem Finn trying to get past Alfie Hudson. Alfie Hudson not having the best of start so far. I'm trying to think if he's trying to not use any of his ERS, but I say that, and he's practically used over half his tank, in fact over 3/4 of it actually. So you do see now Finn going for the interlag going into turn 1. He's going to have the back out there, as it seems a bit sketchy there, and he does, as it does seem the apexes seem a bit lethal there. Is a bit of an example there by Alfie. So we do see now Finn going up into P5 for the Alfa Romeo, and seeing Alfie Hudson going down 3 positions since the start of the safety car rejoined last lap. In fact, Alfie Hudson even more pressure now, nearly going down into P7 actually, as we do see Bran makes the move down and dust there on Don Fotherington, as we do see gains a lot of time going into the end of sector 2. In fact, he's all over the rear of him, and he just needs to stay behind there until the start finish straight, or unless he can try to take that move quicker, he will definitely try to do it. But it does seem we do see Alfie Hudson cementing the inside line and trying to defend his position going into sector 3. Is he going to try to defend it again? Yes, he is. But we go into the fast corners now, as we do have the final braking corner before we have the faster corners. This is where we do see now Brand's going to have the advantage of that slipstream on Alfie Hudson. Is he going to be able to get the move done before turn 1, or is he going to have to use turn 1 as an advantage point for him? He will be able to go side by side with him, but we do see Alfie Hudson defending the inside line there, but trying to take the racing line as well. He weaves to go for the inside. Go side by side once again, but we do see Brand going for the outside line. It's not going to work though. Again, Alfie Hudson being able to defend, but we do see a bit of a switchback there from Brand, and it does seem Alfie Hudson goes down to P7. Do you see there's actually some gaining starting to happen with the slipstream going into start finish straight here for P5, P4 and P3 potentially. No, P3 has no shelter from a car ahead of him, but we do see there's actually a huge gain there from Finn going into turn 2 and turn 3. In fact, he loses a tiny bit of time there on the exit turn 3, but it's still going to be very assisted with that slipstream. So actually a lock up there, that's going to flat spot his tyres a tiny bit. He's all over the rear of him now. He just needs to be careful of not touching him and even spinning him out, as it does seem he almost bump drafted him. He also needs to be very careful of his front wing as he does get the inside line going into turn 6. There's actually going to be a bit of hand gestures there by the character of Finn's car, showing there's a bit of contact between both of them. Do you see now Cryplex actually gaining a ton of bit of time in the car ahead of Kevin, who's actually made quite a redemption arc once again since the start of this race, but is he going to be able to get past him? He is using quite a bit of ERS now, going closer and closer to the halfway mark of this race. You see Finn is still the biggest owner with 11 places. Well, no, it's actually not. Jay Hartnell with 12 positions gained, then followed closely by Finn with 11 positions gained since the start of this race. We do see DRS has been enabled here. This is going to play a huge factor into this race. We do see Cryplex under a lot of pressure there from Brand behind. He's actually going to try to go for the outside line going into turn 8. Gets the move done, but even before he needs it. But he will also have the DRS as well going into the final start finish straight, as we do actually see he's not even going to have any sort of advantage point for him there, as we do see DRS is enabled here by him. But we do see everyone going into the picture mainly to go onto those dry tyres, as it is, as we do see William Talbot already out. So actually this is where we're going to see some pace difference here. In fact, it's going to be a lot of closer racing as we might think. Do you see William Talbot going on the grass there, being able to keep it out the wall there? Very well done, but it does seem he is going to have some dirty tyres on the rear and on the front left of his car. In fact, it also going to be on the right side as he gets the grass a tiny bit on the right sides as well. Do you see this is where it's starting to get a bit interesting, as the DRS is going to be such a huge factor now during this race, and it's also going to probably be quite dangerous for the drivers. We could see some recurring safety cars coming back out onto track later on. You see now that DRS is actually playing such a big feature here for Alfie going back up into the top 10. Provisionally, as we also do see now Brown starting to make some big moves once again. As he actually goes onto those medium tyres to try and last potentially to the last 10 laps or so of the race. Unless there's a safety car, then he might be able to go for a different compound of tyres. But everyone has probably done their mandatory pit stop of the race of a different compound of tyre. P3 though, getting that slipstream and DRS going into turn 1. In fact, he's not even going to need any sort of assistance going into turn 1. He's got the move done before, as we can see the sun's actually came in now, and that's proving my point once again on how quickly the weather can actually change in F123. Because you could see in about the span of 2 or 3 laps from a completely wet circuit to a completely dry circuit, and with sunshine as well. So it's very unpredictable in this game, but there is actually some advantages to that, which means it does dry up quicker, which does mean the strategies are a bit more easy. But we do see the next battle that could happen, the Specky Cabbage and Finn going up into P2 now since the start of this race, which is pretty good for him so far. But Josh Rose seems to be quite clear for the time being. He's out of any sort of danger from DRS, from opponents such as Finn or Specky Cabbage or even Brand at this rate. In fact, he's very, very close to losing his DRS advantage. Will he still have it going into the starting straight? Yes, he will. He is actually gaining a tiny bit of time. Interval he gets, the DRS is actually going to help him a lot though going into the starting straight. He is gaining time, but it's not going to be enough time to turn 1. He is shaved about 5/10 on Finn there. Do you see? Oh, that's a swerve there from Alfie as he's actually been pushed onto the grass there. He's probably not going to be too happy about that, but I'm not sure what happened there, but we'll leave that to the stewards to decide. In fact, is he retiring from the race? No, he is not. He's still going. I'm just thinking he's probably not confident with the ghosting system. I don't blame him. I wouldn't be either. So do you see the majority of the grid getting penalties now, as we can actually see what they're for, as we do see Josh Rhodes the current lead again, a 5-second penalty, which I can only assume is for speeding in the pit lane, which is actually going to make this end of the race very interesting with that 5-second penalty. But he has a 6.9 second gap at the time being, followed then by Cryplex and P5 with an 8-second penalty that could put him down quite a few positions, followed then by Bran with a 3-second time penalty, Don Fotherington in P8 in the other Red Bull with 5 seconds, followed then by Gandis with a 6-second time penalty, which I assume is 2 track cutting penalties, and then followed by Chocolate with an 8 seconds, and then Jackie Cabana in P30 with 6 seconds, and Mills SP with 6 seconds as well, which I assume is both 2 track cut penalties as well. So there is still quite a few positions in here. Jay Hartnell now going up 13 positions since the start of this race. We can actually see Brand starting to make a move here going into side by side. Is that actually a 3 wide? Yes, it's going to go 3 wide going into turn 4. Is it going to work? Actually, it seems it might have worked. So it does seem the Haas gets by both drivers quite safely, but we do see now the Alpine does have the inside line going into turn 5 and 6. It does seem he gets a bit of a lunge there. The Alpine and gets back up into the lead of this battle. Cryplex now waiting to try and gain as much time. In fact, it does seem he brake checks almost the Bran. I'm sure that's not what happened, but it did look like it. But we do see now Bran under a lot of pressure from Kevin behind, but also we do see Cryplex under a lot of pressure from Bran behind as well. It's all down to who has the least amount of ERS. We do see Cryplex with 15% ERS, and then we do see Bran with 24% and 22 with Kevin. So there's actually not much in it, but it is going to be a DRS fest here going into turn 1, as they're going to go side by side, and it seems Cryplex being able to defend it with the inside line advantage, and he will have the entire racing line going into turn 2 and 3. But here is where the plot twist starts to happen. We will see now Bran having the slipstream going into this little mini straight before turn 4 and 5. So it did gain him quite a bit of time, but we also do see Kevin behind as well, also gaining time. So he just needs to be careful. If he battles too hard here with Cryplex, he's also going to lose a lot of time to Kevin behind. Kevin might actually get a two-way position gain here, as we did see in Silverstone in, I believe it was 2022, where Lewis Hamilton made the move on, I believe it was the Ferrari and the Red Bull of Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc, or it might have been Carlos Sainz, but that could be a recreation here with the Haas and Alpine and an AlphaTauri here, but it seems to be sailing off a tiny bit here, but Cryplex under a lot of pressure here, as it seems there's quite a close gap here between Cryplex and Brand, plus that DRS that Brand will have will make this interesting once again going into turn 1. Is it going to seem like Cryplex is going to defend the inside line? He's taking the middle of the track because he's not sure what's going to happen with Brand here. Is he going to catch him in time? No, he's not. Brand is going to have to tuck behind now in P5, but gains a lot of time. But remember, there's another DRS activation point coming up after turn 3, as he's now going to have it. Is he going to try go for the inside line? Yes, he is. Seems Cryplex is letting him have the inside line here as we go into turn 4. Brand still having the inside line going into turn 5 as well, so there's actually quite an advantage here for Brand, as it seems he's been able to get it done here. But we do see now Cryplex all behind him there, as he actually makes a bit of a lunge there on Brand and almost takes him out there, but it does seem they are both in one piece now. But we do see that battling has caused now once again a bit of punishment as well to Cryplex, as it seems Kevin's actually caught up quite significantly and will be in that DRS chain going into the start finish straight. But we do also see an advantage point for Brand as well, who will have the DRS from, well, Cryplex to Brand, sorry, my brain is absolutely muzzled. Do you see the gap is still not quite close enough to actually think of going for me, of going into turn 1. I believe he does actually make quite a big strong redemption though. Is he going to get the move done? He gets the inside line. Is there going to be another position change? Yes, there is. It seems Cryplex will get a move done. It's going to be side by side. They're going to turn 2 and turn 3. It does seem though who's going to have the DRS instance. It is going to be Cryplex. It's going to cause all. There's a slow car on the left there. So they're both side by side, but we do see no one's had the DRS going into that corner, as it does seem Cryplex gets the move done back on Brand in retaliation. But we do see Brand might not take that and try to retaliate back once again on him going into sector 2 and 3. This seems where he's most strong on those. Well, they're both on the medium tyre, so there's no advantage there in terms of that. But in terms of tyre life, it's actually in favour of Brand by 1 lap, so there isn't much to it at all. But if they attack too much, their tyres are going to be degrading quite quickly. We quickly take a break from this battle, or do we? No, we shouldn't take a break from this battle just yet. We do see going on to the start finish straight, it's going to be retaliation once again from Brand to try and get this position back. This battle has been happening for quite some time here, as we do see the DRS has been activated by that beep you just cheered. Is it going to be a side by side? It does seem though Cryplex is going to try defend the inside line. No, it's not. He's going to keep it open. It's going to be a bit of a dive bomb here from Brand. He's going to have the inside line going to turn 1. Do we still see Cryplex retaliating? Yes, we do. He's going to still have to give the racing room to Cryplex, but it's not going to work there. So we do see Cryplex, I think, intentionally fell behind to try and get that DRS, and it does work for him. He's going to go side by side. He's going to have the outside line going into turn 4 and turn 5, which is a very big disadvantage. But if he's able to stay side by side with him, but it seems he actually gets the move done there on him. But going into it now, we do see there's going to be a big retaliation probably from Brand going into start finish straight. We do see there is a retirement from William Talbot there going into P15. 14 cars left in this race. Is that going to be a safety car? 31 laps of this race left. There is actually a big battle starting to happen between all of these cars now, but we do see Brand needs to be careful here, because this entire slipstream chain could cause him to lose quite a few positions if he rails too hard, because from this battle that started to appear between Cryplex and Brand has caused him to lose all of these, well, all of this time to the cars behind him. Do you see there's going to be side by side once again? It's going to have the inside line going into turn 1, but it's going to be a bit of tyre rubbing, you could say. It seems Cryplex being a bit more aggressive now, trying to assert a bit of dominance in this battle to try keep his position, but we've got to see him getting the inside line into turn 4 and 5. In fact, he's going to break a tiny bit later, and he is going to get the move done once again on Cryplex. So this battle is starting to be very intense here, and it's actually going to be causing the other four to actually catch up as well. So this is going to be quite interesting here for the rest of the time. But we do see that the Haas brands actually trying to gain a bit of time as much as he can, because this is actually quite good for the top three, because these four battling at the moment is actually going to cause the gap for the top three to increase, and that's going to be good for especially Specky Cabbage, who's going to try and make a tiny bit of a move on Finn in the next coming laps, it seems. Does seem that there is still going to be a slipstream and the DRS train here for Cryplex and the others, but it's actually not going to be too much here. This is where we start seeing Bran starting to actually make some time here, but this is the disadvantage point here for Bran, is this little back straight after turn 3 where it's actually a DRS point. Is he going to try and is he going to actually defend the inside line? No, he's not. Or is he? Yes, he is. He's going to actually force Cryplex off track a bit, and they're actually going to be a door rubbing between both of them, but we do see the Haas stays in front. Now, in fact, now what's that's caused him, this is actually quite a big move here. That's actually caused now Cryplex to have to defend his position from Kevin in the AlphaTauri going into Sector 2, and this is actually going to be quite rowdy, because we also do see as well Don Fotherington behind him as well. This is very good news here for Bran. He's actually to break the DRS train here now between the three behind him, so he just needs to try to keep his head down and focus now for the next few laps. Just under 30 laps left. Do you see there's going to be a side-by-side here? Kevin trying to go for the inside line to turn when he gets the move done on Cryplex here. This is where we do see there's going to be retaliation here once again, as we do see Cryplex can be quite an aggressive driver when he can. We do see now he's actually under a lot of pressure, but we do see this is where Brazil shines with its second DRS straight within 3 turns of each other, and it's actually going to see Kevin's going to try to defend the inside line, but he's also going to take the racing line at the same time. There's going to be a bit of a dive bomb there from Cryplex, but Cryplex isn't going to actually make any sort of retaliation just yet. Just got to wait, probably going into the end of Sector 2, potentially even Sector 3, to try and go for a move, or even try to use a start finish straight to his advantage point. It seems that Kevin makes a bit of a mistake, as we can see this battling that's been between these three has actually led Bran, as you can see just in the distance there, already a 1.3 second gap, so there's actually no advantage point here for Kevin whatsoever if he stays in the lead of this battle, because he has no DRS yet, and seeing how close Cryplex is from behind, might not actually be able to keep this position here. But we do see Don Fotherington starting to drop off a tiny bit, but the DRS is going to help him out quite a bit here, as it does seem Kevin's going to cement himself to that inside line, but it's not going to actually make a difference there. Or is it? It's actually going to still be side by side, it seems. Seems it's going to be. That's not who I thought that was going to be. That's Don Fotherington making 2 positions into 1 move, as we see Cryplex losing 2 positions going into turn 2 there. He's not going to be very happy with that at all. I believe it might have been a bit of a pace train from Cryplex now, going down it into P7. Now just needs to try keep his mind off, well, the Haas behind him, who isn't too far behind him, but he isn't in camera sight just yet, or in the mirrors. Sector 3 yellow flag. Not sure what that's about, but it does seem to be quite a long yellow flag, so I'm starting to assume it could be a safety car. But no, we are still green for now, but we do see Cryplex actually losing time now to Kevin and Don Fotherington, which could lead to this battle being over here. But actually, who isn't over from any sort of battle shit is actually Jay Hartnell and Gandis just behind the other battle here. So they go side by side. They're actually social distancing from each other, as you could see going into turn 1 now. We do see Gandis actually getting the move done even before us. We do see, I believe that's a Ferrari. Yeah, that's a Ferrari of, I believe it's chocolate, getting a tiny bit loose, I assume, and going into the wall, unfortunately, there for him. This is where the safety car does appear. This is not a real safety car, so this will take us to probably the 50th lap, I believe, which is going to give my voice and my lungs a tiny bit of a rest during it. So once the safety car is back out, Commentary will be back at its full, but I'm gonna have a 2 minutes break from my voice, so I'll leave you guys on board with the leader of Josh Rose for the time being. So we are back to finish this race, hopefully. So we do see the safety car probably has about 2 laps until it comes in. We do see everyone has pretty much been able to catch up apart from Mills SP, the other AlphaTaurians. We do see his teammate being Kevin, currently P6, doing absolute bits for his team so far. So we do see the times have actually increased in times, but well, in terms of lap times since we last checked, but we have seen a track status change from wet to dry. As we did see, now the purple lap was set by a retirement car of William Talbot in the Mercedes of a 110.3, but we do see Don Fotherington has actually outdone his teammate there, but it does seem that's due to a pit change there. But we do see safety car is in this lap, so we will go and board with P2. So it's a Red Bull versus Red Bull here, so it's a Red Bull front row, as we did see with the Alpines during qualifying, as we did see Don Fotherington being able to make such a big time there. I know that wasn't actually the starting, but that would have been a very good start time for Don Fotherington, but he doesn't go just yet. He's starting to juke his teammate almost, but he does go now, and in fact he loses a tiny bit of time there. Josh Rose going into the start finish straight of turn 1, but we also do see Finn in the mirrors trying to get moved on into turn 1 and turn 2. It doesn't work just yet, but we do see Josh Rose all over the back of his teammate now. They're going to go side by side. We don't have DRS this lap. We have to wait 1 lap until it gets back after safety car, but we do see actually it might rain again, as we do see there is actually a lot of clouds starting to roll in again, so we could see a double rain during this race, which is quite rare to see. But we do see there is Brown's gone on those soft tires to try and gain positions back, as we do see he actually hits the back of Don Fotherington there, but it doesn't seem he has any sort of damage to his front rings. He's going to go side by side going into turn 7, I believe it is, sorry. And now he is actually past going into turn 8, but obviously that DRS will be enabled this lap, so he's under a bit of a disadvantage now because it doesn't seem he's close enough to actually be in DRS range. He is in close range though, so he actually might have a bit of an advantage still, with also having DRS from the car ahead of Specky Cabbage, but he won't have as strong as a slipstream as Don Fotherington might have, but that's a less of Don Fotherington's worries at the moment. So we do see Kevin behind him putting a bit of pressure on him, as it does seem he's going to go side by side with him trying to get the inside line. It does seem Don Fotherington does lose the position there to Brand going into turn 1, 2 and 3. But we do see the DRS is still off, so we're going to have to wait probably another lap actually. "21 laps left", as we do see there's actually a battle for the lead here. Finn being able to be all over the rear of Josh Rose, the Red Bull. Does see now Finn will have the DRS going into this. He doesn't have the DRS, but he just had in this. We do see now race control saying DRS is enabled. 20 laps left to go, as we do see he has the inside line going into turn 1 and 3, and he gets the move done. He has the advantage in turn of corners now. If he can keep the inside line going into this, he will have it. It seems he's not going to be able to just yet, as he just stays in P1 for now, but we do see actually Bran going up into P2. We also see P4 actually starting to battle a tiny bit as well. Seems the top 4 are quite close, and then there's a bit of a drop off there as Kevin in the AlphaTauri about 1 second now off the other cars, but is still slightly in that DRS range. Seems like a Cabbage actually starting to fall off a tiny bit from the top 3 now. This is where we might see Finn lose his position to the Haas of Brand and potentially even Josh Rose because of that DRS here. It does seem DRS will be enabled now, and we can now see Finn under quite grave danger here going into it. It seems he's going to go for the inside line, forcing it. Doesn't even need it before going into the end of turn 1 and gets past their Brand up into P1, but we do see there's going to be a bit of retaliation here from Finn. in the Alfa Romeo because of the DRS going into just after turn 3. But it doesn't seem it's going to be the biggest DRS straight ever, so it does seem Brand actually survives the second DRS, as we do see he is going to stay there, as we do see Alfie Hudson out of the session. Is that going to be another safety car? That is something I can't tell you just yet, because I'm not even sure myself. You're actually seeing now Josh Rose losing quite a bit of time to any of his teammates. However, Mafandra, someone who we haven't seen too much during this race, all over the back of Don Fotherington. Now it's going to be side by side going into the start-finish straight, but it seems Mafandra might even get the move done even before turn 1, but it seems he actually does take in the racing line to much full advantage going into turn 1, 2 and 3. Nearly less than a short formation. Just a short form race nearly left. I seem the top 3 is starting to get a bit rowdy again. We'll keep an eye on what happens there. Does seem it's actually starting to get a tiny bit of interest now, as it actually could have the threat of rain again, as I said earlier, as it does seem to be. Actually, it seems still quite bright for rain, but we can't actually predict anything just yet. Going on board with P4 now with Specky Cabbage, who've had quite a fluctuated race so far, but we do see Finn getting past Brand now going into turn 1, and he goes up into P1 now, but we could probably see again that retaliation going into this little back straight. It's not going to work just yet for him. No, he's not close enough. We could actually see Finn. This is where we might see the ERS starting to be used a bit, as it has still quite high in terms of ERS usage, but going down the field now, this is where we can see he might have the most ERS. So with Finn, 45-ish%, then 40% there for Bram. Josh Rose though on 60%. 76 there for Specky Cabbage there. There's definitely a bit of harvesting going on from a few parts of the field there. Jay Hartnell with 87%, so he might actually make a good advantage here. Jackie Gabana unfortunately on 8%, so he's going to have to try and hope for another safety car till the end of this race, but we'll have to see what happens here. But it does seem there's actually going to be another change for the lead potentially, so it does seem the safety DRS is going to be enabled, and it's going to go side by side. Going into turn 1, he's going to have to take the outside line, but it isn't going to matter because the DRS is so effective already. But now this is actually where this backstreet might actually help him, as he's going to have that DRS. He just needs to, yes, it's going to help him very much, and he's going to go into side by side into turn 4 and 5, but he does actually lift off a tiny bit and keeps the position of P2 for now, and Brand staying in P1 for now as well. 3-second time penalty there for Mills SP for another track cut violation. This top 5 actually looks quite rowdy, top 6 even now. And it's actually all down to nothing at the moment. And honestly, those penalties are going to cause quite a big deal as well, as we could see Gandis with that 6-second penalty cause quite a few positions lost. Same with Cryplex and Bran, as Bran might actually lose all the way down to P6 at the moment if he can't create a 3-second gap before the end of the race here. But obviously with that DRS, I don't think that's going to be able to be done unless Josh Rose is able to catch up and start to retaliate to try and get P2 back. Here we go, once again we're going to see a repeat of history where we're just going to see DRS being deployed, being able to catch up for even no chance for Bran to try and retaliate, but it does seem he's going to stay behind there. But we are getting a bit of I'm going to give you a bit more of a weather report now, as we can see and interpret the clouds again a bit darker again, so we could see more rain towards the end of this race, where it could be a bit interesting here for the drivers if they stay on the slick tyres, if rain actually does happen, because we've already seen rain here once today, but we could always see it again. Going back onto currently, there's actually been quite a few stops during this race, 7 stops there with Kevin currently in P5, so obviously kind of a improvised strategy here. Don Fotherington just going on a new fresh set of slick tyres to try and suit him for the end of the race for those softs. See now, actually now going in, we do see he actually gets moved back down. Finn going into P1 again after quite a few laps of retaliation, but we do see there's actually another fluctuation in positions between these two drivers, and there's actually quite a big gap created as well as caution in sector 1. Not sure who that is, but it doesn't seem to be anything major. Seems Mafanjo goes up into P7, and we do see Cryplex going down into P8, another battle that we weren't able to catch on camera, unfortunately. This Don Fotherington's in a 109 here, so again very very close to the minute mark, but I'm sure the minute mark is not a reachable goal. But the track is starting to get better in terms of track quality. But now the tyre status is all going to be down to these 3 drivers, one of them being on those soft tyres, Bran with a 12 aged soft tyres, Finn and Joshua both on those medium tyres, but 12 laps of usage to them, which is a lot easier to cope with compared to 12 laps of, well, 13 laps now of soft, which that's where the tipping point of the soft start to be around this time, so we can start seeing Bran having to pit again soon, as I don't think he's going to be able to do the rest of this race on those tyres. He might be able to, it might not be efficient now, and he's also at the risk of blowing up a tyre as well. P8 though as well, getting very very close into the battle once again. Fanjo and Cryplex not having much of a rest during this race, you could say. You see there's actually another position change at risk again. This huge DRS train isn't going to help any of these drivers out at all. This spans all the way to the lead of the race at Finn, so it's quite a big train here, spanning all the way down to P6 and potentially even P7 soon if he's able to catch up. But this is practically the battle for the lead now, and Bran at the moment realistically might not be able to take the podium steps with that 3-second time penalty, which is an absolute killer. You know, Josh Rowe's actually gaining a bit of time there on P2, but he's not actually in the slipstream, so he's going to actually lose a bit of time as well, because everyone's in this DRS train now, so the actual gaps are potentially even staying the same here for most of the drivers, so it's all kind of unpredictable and up in the air here, as we could actually see that rain could affect it as well with the DRS closing if it gets too bad. But at the moment I'm thinking rain might actually be possible going into the final 10 laps of this race now. We'll have to go single digits. Does seem the gaps are starting to get a tiny bit closer once again, going on to the final 9 laps of this race now. It does seem it is the closest battle on track for now, but actually that has been beaten now by the Haas of Jay Hartnell, who's getting very close to Mafandro here, and potentially Mafandro under risk of losing position number 8 here. But we can see still Jay Hartnell with about 32% left of his ERS compared to what we could see. Actually, no, Mafandro still has about 54% of his ERS left, so I'm assuming he's trying to harvest a tiny bit, which could actually be quite an interesting strategy, to say the least. But it does seem he might lose a tiny bit more time to driver behind him. Getting very close between them both now, and actually that DRS is going to play an advantage point again into Jay Hartnell to overtake. But is he going to be able to overtake just yet? No, he's not. He's going to have to tuck behind him going into sector 2. Turn 4 and 5 is crucial to try take it the right line and try and take it at the right speed, because if you try and overcook it, you're going to take the wrong line and lose so much time and even positions, as we have seen earlier into this race with previous drivers. We're going to get very, very close to Jay Hartnell, but he does probably the sensible decision of just tucking out once again and trying to keep and maintain a short gap between both of them, which he isn't able to achieve. And he would have been able to try and overtake going on to this start, well, this back straight, you could say. Do you see now the tyre quality between both of them? So even Don Farrington isn't even in this battle yet, so that's kind of useless information there, but we can interpret that. Jay Hartnell's tyres are at about in the 20s to 25% worn. Not sure what Mafandro's could be, but I assume his is probably around the same, showing in fact it could be a tiny bit worse, as we can see it's on the 19th lap. But we can see Don Farrington could actually be a risk in this race at having 8 laps on those soft tyres there, so that's still quite fresh for soft tyres, to say the least. Can actually see though, actually a position changed almost here, as we do see now Kevin losing the position there to get the flip-flop, who's actually had quite an, again, up and down race. Currently in P5 for the final 6 laps of the race. Can he try to do better, or is he going to do worse as we go down? As we do see now, going on the start-finish straight, it does seem Mafandre loses that position to Jay Hartnell as it continues into the 6th final lap. You see now the Red Bull trying to get closer with the DRS. It isn't going to work for him just yet as we go into the 5th lap remaining. Now it's starting to count down from 5. Do you see now he's going to have the DRS going onto the short back straight. He's actually going to get the move done before even turn 4's in sight, and he actually stays in. Is there going to be retaliation? No, there isn't. Cryplex getting a 3-second time penalty. I assume he's under a bit of pressure. He's actually in quite a no man's land. He's actually probably tried to get an eager to trying to get past some of these other drivers. This train is starting to get quite rowdy now. Spans all the way down to P6. So it's actually starting to be a bit rowdy. And if someone makes a bit of a mistake, he's going to lose several positions really. Going through as we do see Finn is actually looking to retaliate to try to get this move done, and Finn gets the move done going on to the 67th lap. Is there going to be any sort of retaliation from Josh Rose? No, there isn't. The Red Bull's going to have to tuck behind, and he's actually going to try and maintain this gap going on to this back straight. He's going to have the DRS, and he's going to have the advantage point going down all the way down to the straight. He's going to have the inside line as well going into turn 4, so he gets the move done. So going to be a switchback from Finn. Is there? We can't really tell. No, there is not. He's going to have to just slip behind him for now, as we can see. If they retaliate too hard, we could also see a few of the other cars such as Brandt and Svecki also catching up as well, as you can actually see that has actually happened there from that one little retaliation point. So we do see Josh Rose has to be a bit careful now on what he does. He still has 73% ERS compared to what we see with Finn. He still has 79%. So these guys are actually doing a bit of a train of actually just gaining a bit of ERS. As we can see, Brandt is scheduled to come in to the pits. If he's going to come in this lap, I am not too sure just yet, as it does seem, is he going to come in this lap? But no, it does seem his tool gear thing is gone off, but he is actually going to stay out. So yeah, I was right there. But we do see now all 4 of these cars seem to be still close with each other. In fact, it's going to be a side-by-side here. It does seem Josh Rose is going to try get a retaliation layout on Brandt, but Brandt stays ahead for now. But Brandt needs to be very careful with those tyres. 22 laps on them, and I'm assuming he's going to stay out on them as well, because there is no sign of him giving up this position so late into this race. As we go into P5 as well, he's actually in kind of a good position here, because he is trying to just save his ERS a tiny bit, but it does seem everyone's still in the mid 70s to low 60s in terms of ERS range. So some people will have better advantage than others, which can be a massive role, because I believe I was reading an article or something about the ERS hybrid, what can you even call it, system. It's about 160 horsepower, I believe it is, or something like that. And it's like equivalent to a family car or something. So there is a huge amount of difference in terms of pace with an ERS system compared to just a normal engine. So there is definitely a lot of time gained and advantage if you try to use your ERS efficiently. But we do see now Josh Rose actually losing a tiny bit of pace too. Brandt and Finn here, this is what they want to happen now, but we do see Josh will be too far away even with the DRS to be able to catch up with these two cars. In fact, we do see Brandt has that ERS and DRS as well, So he's just having to start to be a bit more aggressive, Josh, to try catch up with the pack. But if he does that too badly, he could lose a load of positions. Currently Finn in P1, followed then by Brant in the Haas in P2, followed then by Josh Rose in the Red Bull in P3, Specky Cabbage P4 in the Alpine, followed then by Gandis P5, very closely then with Kevin in the Alpha Tauri, and then Cryplex in the Alpine, Don Fotherington in the Red Bull, and then Mafandro in the Aston Martin, currently P9. Rounding out the top 10, Haas J. Hartnell, who's had quite a fluctuation of a race, but he has just pitted, so we could see a performance outburst for him. Followed then by Mars SP, but last but not least, Jackie Gabbana. He is currently in last in the McLaren, unfortunately for him, but he might be able to pull something off going into the final few laps. I'm not too sure just yet, but we do see there's going to be a big lunge there from Kevin to Gandis, and he actually gets the move done. That was a brilliant move there for him, but it seems actually Gandis is going slow and lost so much time there just from that move, and I think it was a bit off-putting there for Gandis from Kevin's move, and that did lose him quite a bit of time there. One lap left to go after this one. You see actually Bran actually has such an advantage point here, but he is using a lot of his overtake now going on to the final lap of this race. This could change everything. Now he goes for the inside line into turn one. He lunges. Is he going to be able to do it? Yes, he is. He's actually made quite a bit of time on him as well, but Finn might be able to retaliate going into the end of this little mini straight. You could say he is very close, so the DRS might be able to work, but we can see now Brant sticking and gluing himself to that inside line, but it's not going to actually help him at all. But he is still on the inside line there going into turn 4 and turn 5. In fact, he stays ahead there, but he needs to try gain a bit of time before that start finish straight, because at the moment this is where we can see Finn actually trying to retaliate once again. Do you actually want to be ahead before the end of the start finish straight? They're still side by side going into turn 6, and this is getting very rowdy here, and he spun around there. It does seem, I'm not sure who spun him around there. It might have been Brand, but it does seem, unfortunately, Finn getting spun around. He's not going to be very happy about that at all. But Brand staying in the lead here, but very close there with Josh Rose here behind. And we can see in terms of ERS, Josh Rose is majorly in the lead of the ERS advantage here with 70% left compared to Brand's 13% left. Or is it going to actually matter here? But it does seem actually Brand makes a bit of a mistake there going into the final corner, and Josh Rose can actually come to win this race here. And he is going to come into the final few corners here, but we can actually see Specky Cabbage coming, and it's going to be a spot. Oh, that was very close between both of them. Josh Rose coming in to finish the race there, followed then by Specky Cabbage. Very close between them both, nearly a photo finish, followed there by Kevin in P3. Then in P4, and actually nearly a photo finish between P4 and 5 with a 4,000 second between them both. P6, Brand in the Haas is probably not too happy about that after an unfortunate little spin he had. Followed then by Cryplex in the Alpine, followed then by Don Fotherington, Mafandro, who's coming to cross the line here now in the Aston Martin, followed then by the Haas of J. Hartnell, and then we do see Jackie Gabbana coming across the final few corners. Now he's actually quite far behind actually, or has he actually finished the race? I believe he might have actually finished the race, or has he? I'm not sure. And then we do see Mills SP as well. He's finished the race in the Alpha Tauri. It does come across the line now, it seems. And I must say that's been quite an eventful race, to say the least. That has probably been one of the most eventful races we probably had. I apologise if the comms were a bit unprofessional here today. There's been some stuff I've needed to do in the background, but it's definitely been one of the more interesting races, to say the least. Yeah, but I am going to just quickly show the calendar and see what we have left, the remainder of the 4 races here. So next with Saudi Arabia on the 13th of April next weekend, followed then by my home track of Silverstone on the 20th of April, followed then by Hungary in Budapest. well, it's Budapest in Hungary, on the 27th of April, followed then by the penultimate race of Austria on the 4th of May, and then rounding out the season and potentially even the championship, depending on how close it gets, with Barcelona in Spain on the 11th of May. I have been Alex, your commentator for tonight, and the F1 season and also the Pro-Am season on the Thursdays, starting up on the 18th of April, I believe it is. And I will see you guys later. Have a great rest of your evening, and goodbye.
Hand on the wheel, got my pistons pumping, all 800 horses running. Oh, baby. 125 in the middle of the night, got my
calling to say I just calling to say I
Heaven just knows what it wants. Will I go back to the place where I belong? Everyone could break my heart, but I try my best to not fall apart. And I found it hard to let go. The memories keep me together. Gotta fight till the end, no pressure, no pressure. And I find it hard to say no to the ones who want something better, to the ones who never say never. You'll be my pleasure. I got nothing to be scared of, because where people live, there is always love. I know the answers in my heart, so I'll try my best to not fall apart. And I found it hard to let go. The memories keep me together. Gotta fight till the end, no pressure, no pressure. And I find it hard to say no to the ones who want something better, to the Once will never say never. Will you be my pleasure? I find it hard to let